Yo people, I'm back once again with full time. Yes, I know it's international weekend, but I didn't say it was solely on Man United. It is full time words on any game that I think it's worth speaking about. And obviously there's only one team, one international team I'm going to speak about today. That is England. Of course, I'm wearing the blue. The boys wore blue in their game against Albania, 5-0. Okay, the reason why I'm going to speak about England is not every day you get a bit like, excited about England. And this time, I know I rambled a bit because I was a bit frustrated with my boys at United. But this time, I'm going to slow things down. I'm going to talk particularly about the game, all right? I'm not going to speak about what it once was or what it is. Maybe I might touch on it. But ultimately, I'm speaking about the game in itself and beating what's in front of you. How Gareth Southgate, sorry my guy, how Gareth Southgate has set up the team, the squad, and yeah, let's get it cracking. So, yes, the boys won 5-0 against Albania. Number one, always beat what's in front of you. And let's not get twisted, Albania are not a play-about team. Like, we might look at some teams and go, oh, it's inevitable. Like, let's say, the constant games against San Marino. It's very unlikely that San Marino will have one up against England, but who knows? Football is football. However, Albania are not that type of team where it's a guarantee. You have to put in the work to make that team look, what they'll say, average. And England done that. First half especially. Second half was a bit of a game's done. It is what it is. Keep things ticking. Let's just see the game out. Maybe go score the extra goal, whatever. But first half, now, if you watch Inside Training, I like to watch that every time. I watch it with Liverpool. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I like to see what the players do on a day-to-day. I like to see the techers, obviously, when they're more relaxed, rather than when they've got like 50, 60, 70,000 fans on there. I just like to see what the players are about. All right. So in Inside Training this time round, very brief. It was more about Emil's, debut into the squad, which I feel you always hear that Southgate has created this family vibe. And you really, really do see it when new players come in. So you got Emil dropped in, and it was a case of, it was like, he's a regular. I know obviously he knew Ramsdale and he knew Bukayo Saka, but yeah, it just made him feel comfortable. I love that because obviously when he came on, obviously the game was won, but he looked part of the team. He looked ready to go. And this is what you need of the England squad as a whole. We know the World Cup, it's not about that 11 man. It's about the man that go. Every single person that turns up to that squad, you are needed one way or another in your team. So, with that being said, obviously the whole family environment, we did see it in the Euros as well. We saw a lot of sort of camaraderie, togetherness, and it's of old. We know England teams have always been individual talent. Like, let's not get it twisted. England should have won something by now. Since 1966, England should have won something. We see these players day in, day out, and we know individually these players are playing. They're players, technically gifted, hard workers, and yeah, they just got the whole shazazz, should we say? Let's use that word, shazazz. They got the whole style to be able to go and win something. But then when it comes into the England camp, obviously back in the day, you used to hear that teams would be very cohesive. So all the Liverpool players or Chelsea players, United players will stay together, Chelsea players, whatever. So now it seems that everybody is just mixing. Like, you watch Inside Training, and it could just be for the social media, but to see it, as fake as it may seem, when you do that repetitively for social media, it might become a bit natural. And obviously Gareth Southgate, maybe he was in that era where, you got those sort of quotes, club quotes, you do your thing, you're the Arsenal guys, you're this, that, whatever. But now, it seems like he knew that that wasn't really vibing. He knew that psychologically, that wasn't it. Let's be together. So obviously, the way I saw it was, let's say United spanked Spurs. Obviously, the banter of "we spanked you" is just banter. All right. So when Maguire sees, or when Harry sees Harry, Maguire sees Kane. You see what I did there? It's not a case of, oh yeah, we beat you, It's banter. We beat you, Cool. On to what's going on in front of us. Beating what's in front of you as a team is massive. Most players sometimes turn up thinking, it's easy. It's only these lot. We beat them last week. We beat them last year. That means nothing. 90 minutes of football, it's a whole different game, despite what's happened previous, or despite the stats or whatever. You've got to play what's in front of you. And that's why commending, especially that first half where England turned up. Obviously, Gareth Southgate is about keeping the ball in the right times, but being purposeful with your forward passes, playing through the thirds when you can, but being expansive for a very long period of time to allow the spaces in the thirds. And you get people like Harry Maguire, obviously crossing over lines and drawing players in and then playing the passes. You've got an abundance of movement off the ball. And obviously when I go back to inside training, when they do their rondos, they keep ball well. Obviously the people in the middle might not be going all in, but they're still trying to get the ball. You don't want to be in the rondo middle for a long time. No one wants a season ticket in there. So all that popping round the corners, splitting nutmegs, all that's skill. That's to do that on a one touch. That's skill and consistent. So they carry that over to the pitch, and when they keep the ball on the pitch, you can tell many of the players, if not all the players, are very, very tidy. Now, of course, mistakes are going to happen. It is what it is. It's, to play in front of 50, 60 odd thousand people, it can take its toll, and something will happen. You've got a bit more pressure on your back. It is what it is. But 90% of the time, they're clean, they're tidy. Harry Maguire stepping in the lines. You've got a splitter. I'm going to talk about somebody very shortly, but yes, you've got people splitting in the midfield, creating the gaps, and you've got the movements up front, which is amazing. All right, and like I said, Gareth Southgate is about being expansive and purposeful with the ball, and then being engaging without the ball for as quickly as possible to get behind the ball. And if we have to, Albania didn't really make us do it, but then we just drop off and whatever. We only did that when it started to get what may seem a bit easy, which I'll talk about very shortly in terms of complacency. You don't really want that to kick in as a top team. So the players I was going to talk about next is Phillips. I think Phillips is so key to England. I know Gareth, if you ever watch this, you know what I'm talking about. Phillips is so key. There are always players and teams that go under the radar. And obviously people talk about them every now and then, but really and truly, let's say the game everyone's going to talk about. Maguire's goal, Harry Kane's bicycle kick, Neil Smith-Rowe's debut. But Phillips, he might not do what seems like a lot, but he does a lot. Like, people only started to realise Kante was Kante because of the consistency and the needing. And many teams have, or not many teams, but few teams have those players. If I go back to my team, Man United, I remember back in the day, Dennis Irwin. Fullback, yes, but consistently good. Not amazingly great all the time, but consistently good. And when he's shone, and he's always going to come back to that 8. So Phillips, pedigree in the middle, eats things up. He wins the ball, plays it safe, but he can also drive with the ball, be expansive, play the diags. He's so tidy, really, really like him. All right, and I think the best youngster coming through right now, or has come through, is the man that plays under Pep. I'm a Phil Foden fan. I don't think you know how technically gifted this Donny is. Like, left, and don't be fooled, many left footers can't use their right, but he's not the best on the right, but he's not scared of the right. All right, so you can't show him one way, say he's only going to be on his left, because he can operate off the right side. I think he's quality. I think he picks up great spaces. He gives me a David Silva vibe. All right, but at the same time on an Innie vibe as well. Picks the ball up short, drives with the ball. He knows a pass before pass comes to him. I think he's quality. Even Emil that's come over and now in the team, I think he's quality as well. But give him his dues, give him his time, he'll be right. But in relation to the game, that first half, pressing hard, winning the ball. Obviously, you've got Phillips, who I've spoken about, with the commander, Jordan Henderson. And you've got someone talking, and you've got someone drilling. That midfield is unstoppable. It doesn't need to be flary. But obviously, you've got Phil pocketing gaps, Sterling coming in, pocketing gaps to do the flary things. But in terms of midfield, like I said in the previous episode, that's where it's won. And if you've got a man drilling, Phillips, and you've got a man speaking, the pivot is nuts. And they're both technically good players. So they've got the hardship, they've got the midfield nous, and then of course they've got the quality to take part of it. So that first half going on again is just about beating what was in front. England done that amazingly well. 5 goals. I'm not really going to talk about the 5 goals much, apart from obviously the hat-trick and the 3rd goal of Harry Kane. Now we know Harry Kane for club. I still think he's doing things on purpose. He's trying to negotiate a move. He feels like he's been done wrong, etc. So for Spurs, he's a bit of a But we know what Harry Kane is one of the best strikers. Every season guarantees you goals. So let's not knock him. And that third goal, that's quality, man. That quality. That third goal, that's something you like to see every now and then. Obviously, he scores every type of goal. And that kind of goal, I'm not going to lie, until I saw it, I was like, bruh, I maybe thought you had it in you, but did I know you have it in you for you to prove it? Dope. So overall, England first half especially, great game. My words on that is do not lose complacency. A few times, and I'm not trying to, obviously, England won, it is what it is, but I think sometimes we need to look at everything as a whole picture. There's times when we overplayed, because obviously I guess we thought that Albania were not all that. You know, respect the team onto the final whistle. Play the game and don't try and play anything else. Play how you would play if you were losing. You know what I mean? So we can keep that mentality going into the World Cup. I think England have a massive chance. A massive chance. Obviously, we've done our thing in the Euros and I feel like we slightly got cheated out of it, but whatever it is, what it is. But when it comes to the World Cup, I know obviously there's going to be the South American teams and other, but I think England have a massive chance. When I look at all the international teams like Germany, etc., they're all still building. They're getting to positions. England have gone through a process and are now somewhere where you can say, boy, every time England step on that pitch, 9 times out of 10, they should win, or they should look like they're going to win. And as long as they do what they need to do and what Gareth has set them out to do, boy, as we saw in the Euros, he hasn't got much wrong in terms of tactics, in terms of psychologically setting the teams up, how he needs them to go and do their thing. So yes, kudos to the England boys. 5-0, Albania, we'll put that aside, we go to the next game, get through to the World Cup, and I think it may just be coming home. Shout out England boys, yes, and make sure you do the whole commenting. Let me know what you're thinking about my views. Let me know your views. We can discuss them. I like going back and forth. A conversation, a debate in football, that's what it's all about. So let me know your views in the comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe. There's going to be much more. I'm going to make sure, in the word of consistency, I'm going to stick it. So this is another one, episode number 2. I hope you enjoy it. Hit the thumbs up to show me you enjoy it. And I'll see you at the next episode.